It was really very good, Minister, to hear you talk about the improving economy and about the fact that we will have more funding. Yes, and I was just about to say that I hope that the funding would be focused in some areas that he mentioned. He spoke about 9% unemployment falling to 9%. That's a very important figure, and it sounds wonderful, but you've got to remember that's a national figure. In the communities in which we work in, that can be 20, 30, in fact 40% unemployment, even though the national figure might be different. They're the challenges that we face. Our current response in Ireland to the great change in our economy and to the sort of improvement in our economy raises really serious questions for us as a society. What sort of society do we want to create? What sort of society do we want to avoid? A choice faces us because we have two choices as a society. And I'm sorry that I can't engage with the Minister on this issue, but we can either create a highly unequal and polarised society with a minority of very wealthy people and a rising number of poor and vulnerable people. Or we can create a different type of society, an egalitarian society, where no one will be destitute, where there will be high quality health, high quality education, where the young, the old and the vulnerable receive really positive care, and where we have a solid social welfare system that is based on right, not charity. Because I think that is hugely significant. That society is possible. We have the resources and we have the capability to create such a caring and egalitarian society in which most of the people in Ireland could be winners. However, inequalities between the rich and poor have been normalised in Ireland for a very long time. I got interested in education as a really important issue of equality when I was in my early 20s, and that's a long, long time ago. It was before you were born. When I taught in St. Pat's Prison, and I worked with homeless teenage girls, and I learned that there was no middle-class child ever in prison. And I learned that the girls I worked with who were homeless came from situations in which they had been totally failed by society. And I knew that education is the fast track out of poverty. And I became passionate about the potential for education. You see, before I go anywhere, look at, these are some really disturbing facts that you can just look at there. But they're in communities that struggle with poverty, like West Tala. You'll always find that the national average of people who have no formal education is doubled. Every year, these are the people that you were referring to. 4,500 young people leave education between primary school and junior cert. Over a 10-year period, that's 45,000 people. They're the people we want to work with. Let's just look at higher education for a moment. Social class. 99% of Dublin 6 students go on to third level. That's wonderful. That's the way it should be. But in communities that struggle with poverty, that can be as low as 15%. 15 against 99, that's social exclusion by class and income. We could turn it around if we choose to. It is possible to make those changes. From a social justice perspective, we have an issue to face. Oh, sorry, I'm pointing it to the wrong thing. Okay. The issue that we want to address in the virtual community college is educational disadvantage in communities that struggle with poverty. The root cause, and we need to be aware of it, is structural educational inequality. It's an injustice that intergenerational unachievement is part of poverty. It's unjust that only 1% of people in Moyross and Limerick have a degree. It's unjust that 38% of children in Tala West, reared in lone, young, single-parent families, struggle to access preschool and really good school support. 33% of children in poor areas leave primary school with literacy difficulties, serious literacy difficulties. And the saddest of all is that so often in the communities where there's real struggle, achievement isn't expected. It's not expected by their parents or their families or themselves. And what is the outcome here? These are statements made by some of the students that we work with, how they felt about coming back, and they weren't going to come back to education. This is what they were saying: I'm no good. I couldn't go back to education. I screwed it up. They don't see their issue as one of being failed by the system. They see themselves as failures. And these are the people that we want to work with, because genius is spread evenly across society. And given that, everybody, if they get the chance, can really go on to achieve their educational potential. This is the Tree of Knowledge. It's a beautiful mosaic by Imogen Stewart. It stands outside at the door of our building in West Tala in Ancasson, and it's there to remind us and remind every person who comes in, every one of the 600 students who comes in every year, that they actually can achieve their potential, that we have dreams. These are students who have achieved their potential in higher education. They would never have survived in any third-level institution as we know today. They needed personalised scaffolding and support, but they achieved. And in that time, we learned one thing. We learned that there is such a thing that we started to call it the one-generation solution. And it's this: educate a woman to higher education, to get a degree, and she and her children will exit poverty forever. That is a solution that works and should be invested in. And we are doing that through our virtual community college that is scaling the impact of the work that we have done in Ancasson. We're bringing our higher education programs to communities across the country that really are like West Tala, where there's huge unemployment, intergenerational educational disadvantage. So what do? It's blended learning. We have e-learning, where they go on and come on to the virtual classroom, engage in learning at their own time, in their own space and place. We have web conferencing, we have face-to-face workshops, books and web, they're introduced to articles and video e-learning. And we're taking our higher education programs in a virtual, using 21st century technology to bring higher education to communities that usually can't access it. We do that with partners. All over the country, we have community education centres, and Ancasson is there developing and delivering the programmes, whereas our community partners are recruiting the students, providing the technology. They're working with us then to provide personalised scaffolding for the students and academic literacy. And I'm watching my time. We're building capacity, we're increasing student access, we're sharing our resources together, and we're gradually demolishing the digital divide. So using 21st century teaching and learning technologies, we're fast-tracking people out of poverty. We want to reach within 3 years that we would have 1,000 students who would never think that they could engage in higher education, working with us and achieving their potential. We make things happen together. That is how we make and bring about social change. And so if I think of our students if I think of our community partners, if I think of our funders, the ESB, SEI, our supporters Accenture, Carlo IT, if I think of all of us together, we can create the Ireland that is really inclusive and support people to achieve their potential right across the country. I know I went over my time. Apologies. Thank you.